All right, folks, in this clip, I'm going to give you some tips on how to write your very own fantasy story. Fantasy is one of the most fun genres to work in for any writer. Why? Because you really get to sink your teeth into your story and create something completely brand new. Some of the best stories, most well-received stories in like literature, in the movie world, and they've all been stories that took place maybe in a world completely outside of our own. And that is exciting for a writer because it gives you a chance to basically build an entire universe from scratch if you are up to it. The best place to start, I would start with the setting. Where does your story take place? In what time, in what place, in what world does this story take place? Really establish the world that these characters are going to move through. And that means more than just the landscape. That means creating a set of rules for the world in terms of geography. Like, what does the landscape look like? What are the cultural differences between the people in the story? Like, what are the traditions? What are the practices? What are the rules? The physical rules? Like, can they defy gravity in this world? Are they can they live underwater? Is there even such a thing as water? Like, these are questions you need to ask yourself. What setting is the story going to take place? That is the first thing you want to do. Really establish the world. And really get in there and create the nuances, too. I mean, this is material that might not even make its way prominently into your story, but it'll help lay the groundwork for you and help you get your head in the right place, which is by far the most important thing when you're writing a fantasy story. Establish the world it takes place in. Second, build your cast of characters and allow yourself to get really creative on this one. These are people that, they might not even, be able to physically exist in the world that we occupy. That's the brilliance of creating a fantasy story. These are characters that you can literally make up from scratch. Physically, personality-wise, they are yours. The palette is... the canvas is blank. You can do whatever you want to at this point. So really allow your mind to go to someplace creative. But at the same time, here's the kicker. It has to make sense within the story, within the world that you've created, which is why all these kind of puzzle pieces go together. Establish the world, establish the setting, and establish the characters, while unique and definitely not something we see in regular life, fit and make sense within the world that you've created. The two have to marry each other perfectly. Otherwise, you start to lose your audience and it just doesn't make sense. The best fantasy stories are the ones that take people out of the world they currently live in and transport them to a whole different place. That is incredibly important.